So you've done the self-help and you've dipped into some personal development, but now you ask the question, now what? What can you do? Well, if you want to escape the apathy, step right this way. So twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week personal development and training course. What people get out of it is multifaceted. There's curriculum, there's exercises, there's camaraderie, you make new friends. There's a whole lot of interesting things. We're going to hear a sample from the course right now in its ongoing season. Let's take a look at the value these students are getting.
I have a question for you, Richard.
Sure. How you doing, Gene?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you for asking.
You're busy, so I'll try to make it quick, but I have to say this is like a ground level question.
Good. We start
Yeah,
on the ground. That's how we work our way up.
that's where I'm starting. So actually, like, I don't mind, like, I've used the sales skills, which has created, and like, it was fine. Like, I like how you frame sales as just, offering
Yep.
solutions. So my problem is that mine have been a little not too successful, but all of a sudden, like, so I am a teacher in an in-person independent school, and I'm looking at, this is our last week, so I'm looking at 10 weeks of basically unstructured free time in which I can make really significant progress towards my goals. But having had that experience for 8 years now, I'm a little, my trepidation is around myself and my lack of just like basic daily routine and structures and habits for following through and staying accountable to myself and my goals. So like I've got getting things done underway.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a big thing, but that's only going to work for me if I use it and I hold myself accountable and I'm actually taking action. I'm very much in my head a lot of the time. So for me, like the action is my challenge, although I'm very inspired towards a lot of action. You know what I mean? So I know lots of people have been there and overcome it. You have an incredible work ethic where you're getting tons of shit done. And I just want to know what I can do to not, waste this time. That's
Well,
really,
you're already doing a good job of self-analyzing why you're not getting there, right? You feel the pressure of not getting something done, and then you feel, I'm bringing that to the table, and and then that causes you more overthinking. So
right.
the slide either from a couple weeks ago or from next week will say, actions drive out thoughts. And so when you find yourself in that overthinking, just start taking some actions, even if it's like you have to trick yourself into something trivial, right? So I got this big project to do. I have all these thoughts about it. It's keeping me from taking action on it. But then I see one little thing that I do know how to do something with, and I just start focusing on that. And then one thing leads to another, and then slowly you realize, oh, I already started this project. And
Yeah.
then there'll come a part in a project where you want to talk yourself out of it. Why did I start this? I shouldn't be doing this. This is it's not going to work. All this negative stuff. Right. And that happens the first couple of times and you deal with it. And then like the fourth or fifth time you say, oh, negative Nellie's here to tell me I'm not going to be successful. I'm getting used to you appearing at this point of my process. I'm now recognizing you. I could call you out and I could just keep focused and work. Or the other trick that I'll do for my brain is sometimes you want to quit, and fighting that isn't necessarily the thing that's going to get you through it. So sometimes I quit.
Mm.
And then I just don't quit. So like I tell myself, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I put it down, and that gives my brain the room now to like, hey, what about this? And then I follow that. What about this? Let's try one more thing. And then that leads to another thing, and that leads to another thing. And then before you know it, like the problem's solved. I didn't quit. I kept going because I have this curiosity about trying to solve that problem. It's like a puzzle, right? So even though you're overwhelmed, you have to like relax before you can like pick up that weight and actually do something useful with it. It'd be like under your normal circumstances, you're holding the weight, but your muscles are cramping. So you got to put that down, shake it out, and then pick it up again with like the right mentality of, I do this all the time. There's another meme that I saw this week that was pretty funny. It has this person complaining about doing work and all this is heavy and this is back breaking, all this stuff, right? But when they're at the gym, they brag about it. They lift all these heavy
Right.
things for no reason, and they're like, yeah, look at this, you know? And so people have lost that natural work ethic because schooling kind of programs this thing into our head where we think thinking is hard, that work is
Mhm.
hard. And it's like this modality that gives us an excuse for comfort and wants us to be stationary. And let's just be with our thoughts and overthink this, right? Because that's comfortable. That's like, it's not progress, but it's a discomfort we're comfortable and familiar with. So let's do
Mhm.
that, because the other thing brings on discomfort we're not familiar with. That triggers our complexity. That means we're growing. We're in a growth area when things don't go just right and things start moving over here, right? And sometimes you embrace the growth and you're like, I'm in growth mode. Let's do this. And other times you're like, not right now. Why? Why right now? Why is this going on? You know? And then
Mhm.
you got to shift back into neutral and get your RPMs down and then get back into a gear where you can keep moving forward
Mhm.
without redlining and blowing your engine.
Right. I like that second one, especially like because it's that moment like where you allow yourself to quit something. It's just that moment really where you allow yourself to quit, that relief rushes in and it feels really good and you can take a breath. So I can see how that would be useful. And yeah, I appreciate that. I'll give it a try and just I know there are things like accountability groups around and things like that. So that'll probably help me as well.
Oh, you haven't dug into the some of the
No.
other resources. Okay, so this could be another thing that helps get you unstuck, because we have created new tools and resources over the past several seasons that help people get unstuck, because we realize like some people are in this situation, right? And they do need like a regular weekly thing for accountability and mastermind and this sort of thing. So even though you're overwhelmed, it might make you less overwhelmed to participate and just go in and say, hey, I haven't taken advantage of this all season. I'm new here. And just
Mhm.
listen in the first time and see how it goes. And then the second time, maybe they invite you and say, you have your hot seat opportunity, or here, do you have a problem that you're trying to solve? How can we help you? Right. And these additional resources also help you get unstuck from that situation. So the other part is when you give yourself permission to quit and put it down, in some circumstances, you might realize that's actually the right answer. That's the right answer. And you were just emotionally caught up in this thing, and it's really not a priority. And you're like, you're way down in the weeds here, but it's off trail, right? You need to get back on trail and move forward. So sometimes the thing, when you give yourself a break, when you're quitting, that gives you the space to think and be creative, or to say, or let's be pragmatic, right? And now you have choice again. You feel overwhelmed when you can't implement your choice, right? The other part is when you quit in the middle of something, then you have the decision of like, you get to see like the consequences. Let's say it's with your job. Your boss just said something, you go into your office, you're like, I quit, to yourself. Then you think through, oh, how am I going to get another job? How am I going to pay mortgage? What about the family? Well, the kids are in college? All these sort of things that if you were emotional and said that to your boss, you would have triggered this cascade that you can't manage. But now
Mhm.
that you've done it with yourself and you can measure those consequences, you're like, I better not ever say that out loud until I have these other things figured out. I
Right.
shouldn't let my emotions override the rational, reasonable capacities, because that's why they pay me. They pay me for the logic and reason, not for emotional outbursts, right? So
Mhm.
learning how to like deal with these frustrations within yourself, and then you might have that space in your office where you're like, wow, I could do this other thing now, and I could travel with the family, and it might lead you to actually quitting. But you want to think it through first and have those answers first, and you don't want to do it from an emotional reaction place. You
Right.
want to do it from a thoughtful response arena within you. And so these little nuances of how you understand yourself to work, and when you get caught in these situations, how you stop the machine, rewind it, get yourself uncaught. Okay, now let's get back to work. Otherwise, people get themselves caught in the machine and they just keep cranking it. They're like Charlie Chaplin going through
Yeah.
the wheels in the famous old movie. Was it the
Yeah.
Great Dictator? There you go. There's a
Yep.
little history for you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really helpful. Thanks, Rich.
And I think you helped a lot of other people who, they have trepidations too, but they didn't want to speak up and be in front of everybody asking questions like that.
I don't believe that for a
Well, you're a
minute.
teacher, you're good at it. So
I ain't afraid. Thank you.
thank you, Jane.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures. They're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at Autonomy, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The Autonomy course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.